operable. Hi, Daniel. How are you? Hello.
Good day, I'm good. I can hear you, sorry.
Good, thank you. We're gonna start in about a couple minutes, so check out lab 3-1. And then
Yeah.
I'll share screen.
Okay. So I kind of submitted the network topology assignment on Sunday night, I think.
Okay.
So I was hoping you could check it out and give me a review because I feel like I might have made some couple of mistakes.
Okay. Sorry if I
Yeah.
can't hear you too well because I'm in the classroom now and my laptop speakers is not that great.
No problem.
Yeah. So I'll check the stuff if you submit it. And then
Okay. And any updates on the letter?
I'm sorry.
Is there any updates on the social security, the letter we're to get from the school?
Oh yeah. So the associate dean is he's working on that for you.
Okay.
And I think he's contacting SS office to find out like what we need to put on the actual letter. So they're moving forward with helping you with that process. So I'll know for sure probably later this week. I just followed up with them today and they mentioned that they had contacted SS office. So I think they're working out some kind of letters.
Okay. Thank you very much.
So once he has that, I think he has your email, so they're probably directly contacting you. So okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then if I hear anything, I'll keep you updated.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I talked to the director of apprenticeship today, and we kind of chatted a little bit about that, and she said that she's gonna touch base with his name is Eric Anthony, the associate dean for STEM. So he's gonna work on that to help you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm gonna go into screen share, everyone. And so if you want to check out Canvas, you can. It's all already posted. Lab 3-1. We are gonna look at network interface card today. And then for lab 3-2, I'm gonna have to see the alternative assignment for the students that can't come, but my plan is to get you to work with Fortinet, one of the appliance or Netgear. So you'll have a little bit more hands-on on how to work with either security appliance, or we will do switch and router configuration later. That's the next, after the IP address is in chapter 5, I believe. So that's when we're gonna use the rolling rack. But right now we're just gonna work on some configuration for NIC, okay? So you can download this document and include your answers if you want, but or you can type up a separate document, that will be fine. So we are gonna mostly work with Windows 10. And I wanted to show you how you can actually take a look at some of the configuration for your network interface card in case you need to troubleshoot. So to start, we are gonna go ahead and use the computer management console. This is a good console for you to use if you want to troubleshoot. So we are, if you right click on the Windows button on your Windows 10, you would see all of the management options here, and computer management console is located here. The only version of Windows 10 that might not have this actual feature is the stripped down home version. but now I think even the home version and up should have it. The Pro and the Enterprise definitely would have it. So computer management console is very useful, and you can see that there are other tools here. So, right click start, you can find a lot of these things. So click on computer management console. And this is to your local system. So that's the current system that you're using. On here, you would see event viewer, performance, all of that. But what we want to do is we are going to look at device manager. And of course, you can also right click the start and go directly to device manager, or go through control panel. So this is just another way. So here you would see a list of hardware that is installed on your computer. And if everything is configured, you will not see a little yellow exclamation point or a red X. Red X just means that it's not enabled. The exclamation point just means that the drivers is not configured. So you just have to go to network adapter and you would see all the available network adapter that you have. I'm using my laptop, so it's going to be slightly different than what you would see with your PC if you are connecting with the Ethernet adapter. Okay, so I'm just double checking right now on the desktop as the students are using it. So in Device Manager, once you click the network adapter, you would see the listed one. And we would see a lot of the virtual ones as well, as you see VMware, VirtualBox. So if you install those software, it automatically link your network adapter to that software. So your virtual machine is able to obtain an IP address or use NAT. And you would have Wi-Fi if you have Wi-Fi adapter and so on. So on the Alienware, it would have the Qualcomm wireless adapter, and then the gigabit Ethernet controller, it says Killer E2500 is the Ethernet adapter. On mine, my laptop doesn't come with an Ethernet adapter. It's purely just wireless. So I only have my Wi-Fi 6 and I have the Bluetooth. I do have a Windows V adapter, but that's really just like a software side, so it doesn't really do much. I can't really connect an Ethernet cable to my laptop. Okay, so on the lab, it tells you that once you're in Device Manager and you click on the network adapters, you can select your network adapter, right? If you don't have that, in my case, I have to use the wireless. So for you guys in the classroom, you will right click the, it says Killer E2500, okay? And then you're gonna select properties. Let me switch to PC so you can see. Okay, so that's the one that I'm going to select is the Killer E2500 and go to property. So the property sheets gives us the details about that particular device. When you click on events, it actually tells you when that was configured and it was installed. So because they're using a migration image, which means that they image almost all the PC at RCCD about the same with the right software. So all across campus, all the computer lab has the same software. So you see here that, in July, they didn't have it migrated. And then there was requested, so they're using the network to push the image there. And then you have the device configuration, right? Shortly after that. So that was probably a scheduled task that they could do in the network, and you can do that using an image, and then you just broadcast it to all the connected system. They have addresses and things and written in the back. So the technician, they did that. So here, if you want to know when it was installed and configured, which is for question number 5, you would then be able to see that under the events tab. So go ahead and record that for your answer. Okay. And then after you find the information about your configuration, so you would go into events, then you would then go into, it tells you to go ahead and select the driver tab. So in the property sheets, once you're in it, I'm using two systems. So you can click on the driver tab. And the version of that particular adapter is located here. And the driver date is 2020. So that's fairly recent. So when you're looking at your network interface card, if you're having a hard time connecting to the network with that system, also check your driver version and when it was last updated. And if we simply need to update driver, we will click the update driver button. Now, before you update any driver, you can also check out the driver's detail and so on. Okay, so driver tab gives us the details about driver for our device. It's always good to use manufacturer driver, even though Microsoft is going to try to push its own version of the driver, because and generic drivers are generally is going to get your device working, but it might not have all the extra features, especially when you deal with like video adapter or sound adapter or things like that. So we want to make sure we get drivers in. So on number 6, once you click the driver tab, you can put down the version of the network interface card that the driver that's installed, and then the date that was installed. So we can see here the version number and the date. And where would I get the updated driver, right? I can go to Dell or Alienware, who produce the system that you're using. Well, they assemble, actually. All the device probably came from another manufacturer, but on their website, if you put in the model number, it's going to give you what's called the chipset driver. And chipset driver are just for all the chips, including your adapter that's on the motherboard, because most likely this is integrated, right? It's onboard device. So you want to get the driver installed. So download and then run the installation, and then that's going to automatically update that. But we can get the Microsoft version by doing this. Okay. All right. Then we are going to go ahead and click on the Advanced tab. So if you are in the property sheet, we can go to the Advanced tab. And the Advanced tab is going to tell you more about that adapter. So in the textbook this week, it talks about transceiver. You might have an adapter that will have like a coax connection to it. On the server, you would have likely multiple network interface adapter or 2 ports on one adapter. Yes, Fonzo. Oh, okay. Yeah, so on the advanced option, you would be able to look at, right, some of the transceiver informations and how it would be transmit, and there are also, you know, things like wake on LAN. Why is that important? So as soon as the network is started, you want your network adapter to turn on, right? That's one of the things that we can enable in BIOS, but we can also enable in the actual device itself. Why is that important? Because what if we're running a script early in the morning, right? Before the company starts working, as a technician, you come in and you need to make sure that you run security scripts or you run all the drivers install script. So people will be able to access resources and things like that. So we want to be able to change the configuration, and then you can also shut down wake up and things like that. So those are some of the options that you would see here, right? And then if in the case where if you want to take a look at, you know, how you can control. So speed and duplex, in this week, they talk about that in the chapter. And what duplex is that it can send and receive at the same time, right? Bi-directional, and that's important. Almost all the modern device should be able to do that. But when you work with legacy device, you might have like a simplex or a you know, one unidirection, which means it can only receive or it can only send, right? Some routers does that. Or it would be like, you know, one or the other, but you want to have duplex. So, you know, you can check out how the values are set here. So if I wanted half duplex, that means that it's gonna wait. It's instead of doing like send and receive concurrently, it would be half of that, meaning that it's gonna wait to send once it's received. Why is that important? Some system, you want it to be that way, right? Like the server, you want it to receive and then send. So, but Duplex is gonna give us a much better speed than half Duplex, right? Or something less than that. So here it's actually default to auto negotiation. That means that it just decides, right, based on how, how the traffic would be. But if you want to regulate the traffic, so let's say that I have an internet service provider that's only going to give me so much bandwidth. That happens a lot, right? Like they would say that you can only have this much bandwidth when you send in your network because, we can't afford a higher bandwidth. Well, what you can do is you can change this configuration to regulate how things are sent on your Ethernet adapter, right? Because you don't want one system to hog up everything. Well, what if you have 20 system or 100 system? Well, you can bring it down by going with the lower speed here, right? You know that our Ethernet is the giga, right? So it's in the 1,000. You don't want it to be in the 100. That's going to be really slow, but sometimes that happens. We have to bring it down. So that's how you can see it. And then some of the things that I want to show you is there are some checksum offload with UDP. When you deal with UDP packet, right? If you select that. So when it says RX and TX enabled, that's just pertaining to your interface, meaning that your cable, right? How it's transmitted across the copper. So what you can do is you can have it enable for both or enable for a certain type of medium that you want to use on that adapter. So there's a lot more than just configuring IP, I think. But as you dive a little deeper in network administration, sometimes you're limited to resources, then you can start looking into configuring your device to meet what you have on hand. And that's important. Okay, yes.
I have a question now. So I had a where all the devices in the home were getting like 70, like really good
Throughput?
yeah, download speeds and upload speeds, but one of the computers was only getting about 70. And
they're all connected wirelessly?
Wirelessly, yeah.
Wirelessly or with wire?
Wireless.
Okay. Okay.
And I couldn't figure out how to like get in there and like see if something like this was an issue where you can manage the data that's received.
Yeah.
I ended up just sending them a brand new modem because I thought, you know what, I'll just send you a new Wi-Fi.
Yeah, so I'm gonna switch to the laptop so I can show you the wireless side. It looks a little different. So if you look at your wireless adapter on there, it's gonna show different things, right? Same advanced tab, but you see how two different adapter shows two different things, right? One wired, which is on your system, the Killer 2500. This is my Wi-Fi 6. So you would see that MIMO pertain to antenna. And whenever you see a system that's wirelessly, that's connecting weak in the same network, it's because it's the physical location. Walls will do that, right? Dense wall, metal inside the wall or cement wall will block signal. If there's glass around wireless signal, it will bounce. So, and water also is another way that we can bounce signal. So because it's still line to site. So what happens is the wave, when it hits a certain surface, it deteriorates, right? So it doesn't even get to that. So what happens is that weak signal system is at the end of the range. So what you can do is you can buy range extender. They work somewhat, about 75% is going to be increased. But on the router, if it has a range extender, you can enable the amplification of signal. What it does is it just extend that to a larger space, a distance, right? So I would physically move it to a different location, and unfortunately people's office is that way. So what you can do is you can put an extender in the middle and then extend that signal, and then try to remove things that are, people put fountains in their home or glass. There's glass doors sometimes that will also prevent it. So if you want to prevent signal, you put a wall that's glass and then you put a water fountain, right? Feng shui all together at once too, right? All right. So yeah, but with wired though, that is, then you can go in and you can tweak the configuration. Okay, because on the wireless side, if you look, let me go back. You can also change the bandwidth on it, right? So you can look at the bandwidth, the width, right? And you can choose which band you want to be on, 5G or 2G. And then we can also look at like how we can deal with the packets, how we can transmit. There's throughput booster. That might be something that you want to enable on that side. So see how mine is disabled? You can change this to enable and that might help a little bit, right? So that's just gonna boost it up. How long is that gonna last? It's only gonna last up until what that router is gonna be supporting from. So you can, some adapter will have that option and some don't. So, and then if you want to do MIMO save mode, that because the adapter itself has an antenna, it's a wired antenna, and you want that antenna to be able to, because it uses wattage every time that it's picking up signal. So you can control power saving for the system that way with MIMO. Same thing with the router. Okay. All right. So, I think you should explore a little bit more on the advanced tab. That's going to help you. Sometime a little bit more that's going to change, save you a little bit of time when you're troubleshooting. Okay. So that shows you how you can do that. Take a screen capture for assignment and submission. And then we are going to go into settings. And then I wanted to go over to the PC now, so I can do the same thing as everyone in class. So in settings, right, Microsoft decided that they wanted to move away from control panel a little bit, but it's still there. It looks almost the same as your control panel. So in settings, you will go into network and internet tab. So you are going to click on network and internet. You saw this before if you're configuring the wireless router last time, right? And then, so I'm going to do the same thing as I'm screen sharing right here. So here what you see is you see that you're connected, right? My system is connected to the network. Now, your properties of your whatever your adapter is, just like what we did before, you can still access it here as well. So, earlier we went into device manager, but you can also access it through settings. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we are going to click on click Wi-Fi and then hardware properties link. And then we are going to take a screen capture. So on the left, click Wi-Fi. And then let me do that on my laptop. Click Wi-Fi and then click hardware properties, okay, which is the second link. So what this will do is it's going to give you a general information about your adapter, okay? Why is this important? Well, we have a physical address here. That's a MAC address for your system, right? That's one way to find it. We also have the driver version. So this gives you the summary and then the type of adapter that you're working with. So now I'm looking at the wireless, right? Which is the second adapter, not the Ethernet one. So I just want to keep reminding you about that because earlier we looked at the Ethernet adapter. This time we're looking at the wireless adapter on the system. Okay. Now, if you don't have the wireless adapter, right, it would just not be there. So you can copy this information and then, manage it if you want. But so at this point, what we're going to do is we are going to take a screen capture. And then the important thing is I want you to take this MAC address right here. Okay. So we can right click it and then copy. And then you can use Mac Lookup app. So open up like a browser and then visit Mac Lookup. And then once you find Mac Lookup, there are many different links that you can use, right? You can go ahead and paste it and search, okay? Now, if you use VPN like I do, I use software VPN on my particular laptop because I take it to work. Sometimes it actually matches your MAC address. So the MAC address that you're getting from the Windows side and the VPN side, it's actually a different address. You might not be able to find the details of that MAC address. So I was looking through it in the last couple of days, and I used different websites to look at my MAC address on this laptop, and I was not able to find anything. But as you can see here, for the Dell or the Alienware, right, it tells you that this is the OUI, which is organizational, right, identification that's given to that company. So that means that that company produced the adapter that you're using, okay? And it tells you that it's out of China. Of course, most of our electronics came from China. So once you have the MAC address, you can paste it in there, and then you can look it up to see, okay? So this is the company that produced your wireless adapter, okay? And the prefix, as you can see, that it is the first 6 digits, right? The first half of your MAC address is assigned to the OUI, and then the second half of the MAC address is assigned to that unique system, okay? And then the block, so they're given a block of address to use, and then when they use that all up, then they can apply for additional addresses. And this is managed by IANA. Questions? So worldwide, every company that produce adapters, network adapters, they have to obtain the MAC address and be able to use it in a block. Okay, so once you have, once you look it up, it says, can you locate the organization that produced the adapter? If so, who manufactured the network adapter? So here we know that Cloud Network Technology Samoa Limited is the company that produced this particular adapter for the Alienware. And this is their information, okay? Now, Wireshark and other companies, they actually have also a database that they maintain. So if you can't find it on one link, you can go to another link. Okay, I put that in the notes and also your lab. So NetFinder tool, Wireshark, OUI lookup, and so on. So answer question 4, and then move on to question 5. It says return to the hardware properties page and answer the following question. What is the link speed of the wireless adapter? What protocol is used? So let's come back here. It doesn't tell you that, but let's see. So if we right click this and go here, let me see if it gives you any detail. Because on mine, it did give you the link speed. Okay, So the mode on the Alienware is this. So it's using ABG, N, and AC. So it's AC capable and it has backward capability. There's no preferred band. So basically it's either 2.4 or 5G. It depends. We're not connecting wirelessly. So if you are, you can choose either one, whatever the network support. So for that question number 5, right? D, you can probably find that. Okay. So what is the network band and channel? You can put down 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. And on this one, it doesn't, let me see. Yeah, it doesn't have a specific channel. On some of them, I know on mine, let me switch over this too so I can show you. So here's my hardware property sheet. See that? It's different. Okay. So it depends on the adapter. So I'm connecting to their wireless network. So that's why you see the 10.10 to RCCD, I mean. And then it also tells me like I'm on the 5G, right? That's basically because I set it up to prefer 5G, but it's capable of also joining 2.4. My channel is 120. And when you're on 2.4, your channel is going to be different. It's either 1, 4, 6, 11. Yeah, 1, 4, 6, or 11. Those are the 4. And then also the frequency is going to be different. So as you can see, mine is a little bit different than the adapter that you see on the Alienware, right? I think the Wi-Fi 6, it gives you this compared to the earlier edition, right? So this is what I meant. And if you don't have it, you just put NA where it doesn't, you can't find the information, that's fine. And then it tells me the link speed, see, 173 megabit per second. Send and receive. Okay, so I'm sending and receiving at the same time. Full duplex. Yeah, full duplex. Question. Okay. Then we are gonna look at. So if you can't find the details, you can just put NA for the answer there. So next we're gonna look at. We're gonna close the Wi-Fi window, and then we are gonna go ahead and look at the PowerShell. So let's close this. And then search PowerShell. Now, if you're using Windows 7 Pro or something different, you will have to install PowerShell if it's not there. On the server, some edition, most all server edition came with PowerShell. So if you want to use PowerShell on Windows 10, it comes equipped. So open up PowerShell. It looks like your command line, but it's different, right? Commands for PowerShell is used differently. So on PowerShell, what I want you to do is you are going to use the command called get net adapter. You can copy this if you don't want to type. Make sure that the syntax is correct, meaning that your command is typed correctly. Okay. Let's see if I can change the font to be a little larger for you. Okay, so that's a little better. Okay. So is that recognized? Wait, let me see. Net adapter. Oh, I had a a slash at the end and it didn't like that. No slash. You should get something like this. So what this will do is it's going to list all the known network adapter that's included in your system. Okay. So this is like looking at device manager in general, right? In PowerShell. That's basically it. So here, that's what you have. So if you use get-net adapter, I had a typo earlier, so it didn't like that, it complained there. Okay, then take a screen capture. Which adapter has the highest speed or the throughput? So when you look at this on the, it will tell you what the status of the adapter. And then on the right hand side, it actually gives you the link speed. Remember earlier we were looking for that, right? We couldn't find it on the interface for the Alienware one. So you should be able to see the link speed here. So if you want to know like which one is faster, right? Or which one's up and down, this is it, get-net adapter. That's a good troubleshooting command, okay? In PowerShell. So it tells me that I have disconnected here, Bluetooth is slow. So for my fastest one is going to be my wireless. I only have that one. Your Ethernet might show a little faster. Okay. Question. All right. So find the one that gives you the highest link speed. Then you are going to put the answer there. In PowerShell, you can also use ipfix and all, ipfix/all, and we can also, we are filtering when you do the find str here. That means all that is you're filtering by the string parameter that you put next to it. Okay. So if you copy this and then put it into PowerShell, you type it in. What we're doing is we are also going to look at our adapter. If you were on Ethernet, yeah, that will be faster on the Ethernet, not the Wi-Fi. That's right, Michelle. If you have Ethernet adapter, it will be faster. On mine, I don't have an Ethernet adapter. So, okay. So here is the description. So what I did was I filter it by the physical description of the adapter. So what that does is it's going to give me the description and the physical address. Okay. So if you want to find out real quick, right, like all the MAC addresses for your adapter, that's what you use. Okay. You would use the ipconfig all, which give you all the configuration, and we want to filter it by the description and physical. Then we are going to, it's going to ask you, what is the description of the Ethernet adapter or the wireless adapter? Do not use the VirtualBox or the VMware adapter. So coming back to here, right? Let's say that I'm going to select the Wi-Fi one on mine, which is this one. Oh, no, that's a virtual one. Sorry. This one. This is my Intel. So then that will be the description. It usually tells you the manufacturer or whether it's virtual or not, and then the type or the model number and the frequency. Okay. So just put down the information, and yes, you can copy and paste it from PowerShell to Word. Then we are going to come back to PowerShell, and what I want to show you is there is another way that you can also get MAC address. Okay, so we are going to use what I call wmic. So this is a command, and then we are going to look at the physical adapter, and we're going to use the parameter. We're going to say true, get MAC address, and organize it by name. So let's copy this. And why are we doing this? It's because when you're looking at switch table, basically the switch is going to give you the MAC address. So when you're dealing with security or connectivity, things like that, right, at the switch level, we need to know the MAC address. Okay. So here again, instead of what you've seen earlier where it would give me by the name right here, on this one, it's going to filter it and it's going to actually sort it by MAC address. It's still going to be the same list of adapter that's in my system, but it's going to give me the MAC address. So now on the server scale, this is important, right? Like we want to know if there's certain issue with receiving requests from a certain system for services, then you need to find out like how is that system connected and what is its MAC address. So virtual devices have MAC addresses. Yes, virtual devices are, whenever you install virtualization software like VirtualBox, VMware, those type of software, because it's using the host operating system, it's going to want to also acquire a MAC address of an IP address for its own system, right? Because the way that the software is written is really designed to see itself as another system, right? So yeah, you're going to see adapters that will be virtual, like this one, right? Like this is the VMware one. And then I also have another VMware one. And then I also have like VirtualBox and so on. So, okay. So once you have the information, take the screen capture and answer the question. How is the output different from step 8 and 9, right? We were able to see, when you look at this, you see what the output from step 7 gives us, we sort it by MAC address instead of name. The other one, right, we sort it by name, but this one gives you more details. So when you're using get net adapter, that gives you more details about the adapter. And then when you're using ipconfig all, this one we specify what we're looking for. So we're only gonna output description of the physical address. And then on the new one, the one that we just did, we simply just got the MAC address and its name only, right? And we sort it by the MAC address. And that's the main difference. So I want you to experience using different commands. And for me, like, you know, I likely will remember this one because it's the shortest, right? But if you practice using PowerShell, you're gonna get better at it and how you can put in the criteria, and you can always use the help option too, okay? All right. Okay, any question with PowerShell? Mm-hmm.
PowerShell and Linux don't have the same commands, right?
No, so PowerShell is going to be closely related to command prompt, but it uses different commands. The way that they created PowerShell is that you're able to run it like a shell, like in Linux shell. You can run a program, a script, an executable in it. Command prompt, you can run some executable in it, but there's limitation in command prompt. So as far as the administration and configuration goes on how many commands that they incorporated with command prompt. So they integrated PowerShell to expand the capability on command line. Right? So yeah, on server, use PowerShell. Command prompt is for the basics. All right, other questions? Okay, so after we answer that question, we are going to go into control panel. And control panel, you know that your view is there are multiple options. The default is the category view. And then you can also switch it to the icons of the basic view. So this is the category view. And then it's gonna ask you to go to network and internet, and then you are gonna go to, you're gonna click the link right beneath it, view network status and task. We're almost done. It's really short today. I want to make sure you finish on time. Because usually I write stuff sometime and I talk and then it takes a long time. So so very basic today, right? So under this, you can click on network and internet. Under that, you would see view network status. Okay. And that's what's going to give us, you know, what kind of network that it's connected to, or if it's not part of the domain, then it's going to show that it's just going to be up here. So your adapter is here. Okay. And then, you know, there are also local area connections. So if you click the adapter, I'm on the wireless, so it's going to show me the amount of signal that I have. Okay. And then the wireless properties. This is going to give you the details in the connections, how you want to connect to your wireless network and the security. Okay. And then on the detail side, this is where the addresses go. So when you do ipconfig all, this is the same information that it's going to give you, okay, for the adapter. So I want you to take a look at your, so after you click network and internet, network status and tasks, you're going to click on the adapter that's next to the, and then click the details, and then take a screen capture, and then you can close it. So, but, you know, reality is that when we click the details button, right, you wanted to get the information, you want to record this so you can troubleshoot it. What it's going to do is going to give you the subnet mask, the IP address. Okay. So if you see 127.0.0.1, that means it's looping back. And that means that something's wrong with the DHCP service. It's not getting an IP address, or it's not part of the domain. In order to join any kind of network, right? Like, you know, if you see like rccd.edu, whatever, right? Outside of coming in from the web, if you want to use services like files transfer, authentication, everything like that, you have to be part of that domain. And what does that mean? You see my system, it's joined that domain, so it got the IP address from that domain. So it would have a 10 dot whatever. But when I get home, it becomes part of my home network, and it's going to have 192.168.0.x, right? So what you see there is that I'm using the services from these servers. DHCP gave me an IP address, and then the default gateway is here. That's the system that's going to help route or translate, format, right, from my system internally from this network with another network. So everything that's coming from the web, the gateway is going to take that and then, you know, pass it to me, but in a way it actually pre-formatted so my system can see what happens. Yes, I agree. Ethernets are faster than Wi-Fi. So the details give you the information about that system. And then if you're on the Ethernet side, right, it looks slightly different. And then I'm at the throughput. My throughput is 173.3. And can they regulate this with the access point? They sure can, right? You can control, you saw last week when we configured the wireless router, you can, you know, you can't even control down to, you know, how much bandwidth they have, what kind of band, what kind of channel they use, and so on. So super simple today. And so, you know, if you need to disable the adapter, you can click on the properties, and then there's a disable option. So any question? Okay, so screen capture for that one, close. So what we've learned today is we've learned multiple ways to be able to obtain MAC addresses, right? Through the graphical user interface, through the property sheets, through device manager, through computer management console and device manager, PowerShell, and so on. Why is that important for us? Well, at the switch level, if you wanted to make sure that you see that system is connecting to the switch, you want to be able to find that if you are using a layer 2 switch. And layer 2 switch only uses MAC address. Okay, layer 3 and up switch, multi-layer switch is going to use IP. So if you are using a managed switch, you want to use MAC addresses to track your system. Okay. I will put up the video recording. I just gotta get all the recording uploaded and everything. So tonight, tomorrow, I should have that right. But read chapter 3. There's a lot of resources. They put a lot of old technology in there, like ISDN and stuff like that. Don't be surprised if you still see them as a backup line. Most people migrate to fiber, but it doesn't mean that mom and pop shop will have it. So ISDN is like back in my days when I was a technician. That was years and years ago, decades ago. So okay, and then yeah, you can use USB adapter. You can use USB adapter for Wi-Fi, right? And then just configure it. So it will be just as fast as, you know, whatever that the capability for the USB standards would be. It won't be as fast as your normal adapter that you would install in your system, of course, right? It's the road that it travels on. So the bus, that's gonna be the speed. Okay. And then we still question.
Alright, so I was wondering, so like you said, if like adapters being able to like be used as like virtual machine, it's possible for like just be adapter to like be plugged into like a computer, but the computer itself being Ethernet connected, but for the adapter to be used as the virtual machine.
So if you're using a USB adapter on the virtual machine, you first got to make sure that the virtual machine sees that adapter. Most of the newer edition for virtual machine like VMware and VirtualBox, you can enable that option that, you know, it would see it. Now, does it always mean that it might be able to configure the driver? So it's going to use the native host driver, whatever the driver that Windows or your host system feeds it, it's going to try to piggyback on that. Yeah, so, you know, if you plug it in, wait for the host system to configure it. And then once it says it's ready, because it needs to run the firmware, right? Then you would be the virtual machine might be able to see it. So I would start the virtual machine after that point.
Oh,
Yeah, instead of, you know, opening it up already and waiting for, you know, plugging in the USB. Now, does it always mean that it's able to interpret the firmware? It might not, because if it's, you know, sometimes that's limited to the version of the virtual machine of the hypervisor that you're using, like, you know, VirtualBox or VMware. And then sometimes that, you know, you have to install the newest edition in order to do that. And that's happened also with, like, I noticed with display adapter, you know, if you using like on your system, if you have like a high video adapter, sometimes VirtualBox you still have to configure it as a separate entity because it doesn't always see that driver. It can't accept that driver because the software is limited. Okay. So yeah, I would configure it on the host system first, and then, you know, so at that point, it's going to treat it as it is already a hardware that's in the inventory for the host system, and it might be able to see it that way. Yeah, but you have to enable the USB capability on it. But would you see it in the network adapter menu? Ideally, yes. It should be listed there if you installed it. I haven't tried it. I have a bunch of wireless one. I'll try it. I'll let you know. Right? It's an older one that I have too, so it might be able to work. Yeah, I've used USB on virtual machine before, so. Okay. All right. So once we're done with that, you can save your document, submit it onto lab 3-1. You're welcome. And then you will be able to, I will catch up with the grading. I did some of the grading a little bit in each class. It's been, I don't know, this semester feels like so many things at once, but maybe because I'm doing new classes also, and you know, all of the things are just, but it's gonna get a little better. I just need to make adjustment to my schedule and adapt to the schedule. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna stop recording. And thanks for joining me, Daniel and Michelle.